We're up on a cargo can number one. And my plan today is, well, first I'd like to talk about something that you're going to run into when you live in the Philippines. And you're doing work. Okay, I don't know exactly how to word this because what I'm going to explain made no difference in my life at all, other than it actually helped my job, made my job easier. However, um, and it has nothing to do with me being a foreigner, actually, because the people that came and did the work on the property next door, they didn't know I was a foreigner because they didn't knock on my door and ask me permission to cut the trees down, some of which are on my property and some are not, all of which had to be removed in order to build the hotel within the next few months. So everything the workers came to do last week and everything they did saved me probably a whole day's work and hours of cutting stuff up and getting rid of the debris. However, they didn't even get rid of the debris. They just left the trees that they felled. They just left the debris right on the floor. In fact, they didn't even take the debris and push it to the side so that, at least leave a path where they were working. They just wantonly cut down trees that had nothing to do with the job they were sent to do. So the job that they were sent to do was to clear some trees from high voltage wires. And the fact of the matter is, to be honest with you, what they did hurt the telephone pole and the support pole more than it helped. But I wasn't here until the very end of the job to tell them that they were doing more harm than good. And it made no difference to me because when I start building the back wall of the hotel, I was going to have to take all of those trees down anyway. So what happened was one of the neighbors has power lines that run close to my property line, but not on my property. But there were trees that were growing from my property line or on the very line of the property itself, or a few inches on either side, grew up over the last, well, I cleared that out 3.5 years ago when I took over the property. So 3.5 years, they're basically junk trees. And they grew up underneath the power lines. And when they grew up under the power lines, they pushed the power line up. And the power lines had 3 feet of sag in the power lines from the day they put the power lines up, because the electrician that installed the power lines, he didn't have a wire puller. He didn't have a come along to take, to the sag in the wire is 5 feet now. He didn't pull the wires tight. So, I don't know in the run that he got if it makes a difference. It's not my line. I don't really care. But most electricians would have pulled them tighter, where there wouldn't have been so much sag, because they do stretch a small amount, a couple of inches. Anyway, so they hired one of the neighbors hired 3 men to come onto the lot next door and cut clear around the power lines. I don't know if they told them to cut the trees down. I would never have thought that. I mean, me personally, I would have hollowed out the tree, made nice shade for me. But like I said, I'm taking the trees down anyway, so it doesn't matter. So they saved me a whole day's work. But what they did was they just chopped out trees. The trees on the lot next door, which probably don't matter, and the trees on my property, which I don't care about. But the point is that they did it without permission, and I was actually doing a live stream. So I was home the whole time they were chopping. And I heard them chopping, but I just thought that the owner of the lot next door came maybe to clear something up. Who knows? You know what they do. Occasionally, about every year, they come and clean up the lot. So I thought they were cleaning up their lot, but they always leave the trees up on along the property line for shade or for whatever reason. Okay, so let me show you what they did. So they had, you see those pipes back there? There's two pipes going horizontal, one's on an angle. Well, those pipes, because of I didn't have enough pipe at the time, I tied those pipes into the tree with 2-inch pipe clamps. So I just used pipe clamps onto a tree. And then that was it. That's what I used because I didn't have enough pipes at the time. So I just tied it onto a tree. Well, what they did was they chopped the tree out, the bottom of the tree out. And when I came outside from my live stream, I was looking at that tree because there used to be a big tree here. The tree was up higher than that and higher than that, or about the same height, but it was solid because there were solid trees along the back of the property. When I came out, I saw the pipes and the tree on this one going shh, and I saw, and you could see it going up and down like someone was pushing a plunger, and like a plunger up and down. And I'm going, what the hell are they doing? I mean, how are they doing that? How are they doing it? Because the only way you could do that is to cut the trees down. And the neighbors have cut the trees down for the last couple of years and not touched the trees. So I go in the back and I look, and they, sure enough, they cut the tree down. There it is. Yep. Sure enough, they just cut the trees. All the trees. All the trees along the property line. Now, like I said, I don't care. There was a tree over there also. They just cut that tree down. And then apparently one of the neighbors came onto the lot and took the wood, for cooking purposes. But, so the point of this video is not, I don't care that they cut the tree down. They saved me a whole day's work. The point is they didn't ask. They didn't ask me, and they didn't ask the neighbor. They just came on to two people's property and just cut trees down without asking. And when I went outside and looked, I said, "What's up?" And they didn't speak any English. So there was somebody to interpret, and they explained to me that they were trimming out the tree for the wires, and I'm going, well, the wires are now sagging down 5 feet. See that wire over there? See the wire that's just above the fence line? That's sagging down now probably 7 or 8 feet from the pole where it used to be. It used to be up as high as the other wires. I don't know what. So when they cut the trees down, the trees were what was holding up the wires. They're just not thinking, but they're not thinking, but they're not caring either. They were told to cut the trees down so it wouldn't interfere with the wires, and what it did is it put on it put a tremendous amount of stress on. There's just a small thin pipe that holds all of those wires up. Now it don't look like much to you, but there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight cables there, and each one of those cables weighs at least probably 30 plus pounds because they go back right and left another 20 feet that you can't see, 30 feet. So all of those cables were up higher than my yellow pipes, all of them, because the tree, and then at that point, they were all perfectly level. So the trees held up the wires, and then when they cut the trees out, now some of them sagged down 7, 8 feet. And when I said what's up, they couldn't speak English. The guy who interpreted, he told me what they were doing, and I said, "Are they going to put another telephone pole in, or something to hold the wires up?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, it's going to pull the poles down. The poles." So between here and the next house is over 100 feet. It's going to pull the pole down. Maybe not, but it's going to put a lot of stress on a really small vertical pipe. And the men, they just kept cutting and cutting, and I'm going, okay, well, that's enough, because now where the one tree that gives me a little bit of shade where I'm going to be working for a little bit before I put the back wall up, and they stopped. I said, that tree over there, I told them to come on my property, go up on the bench, and cut what they wanted to thin out the tree, not to cut the tree down. They were getting ready to chop the tree down. There was no reason to chop the tree down. You could just hollow it out. They were told to cut the trees down where the wires were, and what they did is they really put an undue amount of stress on the poles. That'll probably last. I don't know. All I know is that everything the electrician did, that I saw the electrician do, he was a hard-working man, and he knew his business, but he didn't have the tools to do the job. Like when it came to stretching the wires from the telephone pole to the next telephone pole, he had no way to take the tension out of it. And he didn't put a guy wire down to the ground on the next there's like a 2-inch pipe. He didn't put a guy wire down to the ground. So now there's several hundred pounds of wire wanting to bend that little teeny pipe. And it will eventually bend that teeny little pipe, and they'll have to come and do it again. But that's the electrician's fault. That's not, well, I mean, he was the one who decided to put the little pipe down, I think. I mean, if it was me, it would be a nice sized pole, but no, not him. Like there is a nice sized pole on one side with a concrete footing, but in the back it's just a teeny little pipe. I don't know why he did what he did. I mean, he is a licensed electrician, but he just didn't have the tools to do heavy duty wire installation. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take those pipes that you see over there, and I brought up my air tool, and I'm going to take those pipes off of there, and I'm going to put a vertical pipe in the corner, an 8-foot vertical pipe. Then I'm going to run a pipe along this edge here about 3 feet high, and so for like a safety railing here, just so you don't walk off it by accident. And I'm going to take these boards here, clean them up, clean up those boards and put them on top of this pile here. And then I have the boards in the back over there, and I'm going to put them on top of here. And then I have boards over here on the ground here, and put those on top of here, because I'm going to take some weight off the house. So right now, if I push this over here, I got the air gun in there, in the bucket, and I got the air up here as well. Okay, now I need an 8-foot pipe. So I'm gonna go behind the camera and get an 8-foot pipe from my stock. I'll be right back. Huh. Huh. All right, I got a 3-foot pipe and an 8-foot pipe. I should show you one more thing. A lot of guys take these pipes apart and put the pipes together with a wrench, like barbarians. We don't do it like that here. I don't do it like that. So what I have here is a clamp. I have the air, and I have an air ratchet with a socket on it. Okay, on a paddle ratchet. So if I go like that, it goes one way, and if I go the other way, it goes the other way, and that puts these nuts on and off in a matter of seconds. Watch. Well, first we have to build up compressor air in the compressor. So the compressor's on, unless we have a blackout. And that's possible. If we have a blackout, then I won't be able to use the air ratchet. But I don't think we have a blackout. Okay, no, we don't. We can't because the camera's still on. So let's just get rid of the air. All right. Okay, so putting the bolt on like this. 1, 2, 3, on. Okay, that's the right way to do this. I've watched guys with wrenches put on like one clamp every half hour. This takes about 20 seconds. But in the Philippines, they don't have, they, they wouldn't use tools like this. Even if you gave them a hand ratchet, if they had a pair of pliers, they would use the pliers over the ratchet. If you gave them this tool, they would use the pliers over this tool because it takes longer to do it with the pliers. And that, my friends, is what the Filipino way is all about. Okay, now it's raining. That's just wonderful. That is wonderful. And we'll give it 2 minutes. No, we won't even give it 2 minutes. We'll put the camera in a cover. I made a cover for it last week, and we'll use it now. And I have a bucket more of clamps. Oh. So now, hey Jerry, so now you understand the importance of an air ratchet, that you do everything with one hand. Because if I was doing that with a pair of pliers, the Filipino way, and I'm not kidding you, see that building next door? They built that entire building next door with a pair of pliers and a pair of channel locks. There was a ratchet on the job, but they didn't use it because they left it in a bucket of water and the ratchet froze up. So they used pliers. So they actually put 4 or 5,000 clamps on and off with a pair of pliers at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes per clamp, turning it with a pair of pliers, 1/4 of a turn at a time. And what you just saw me do with that, with the air tool, was one hand put clamps on tight. Okay. Now it did fall down, and I knew it could fall down because I've been doing this for a while. And but it went right back up. How long did it take them to build the house next door? It took. I moved in there in 2013, 14, September of 2014, and they finished about 6 months ago. Almost finished. They're not quite finished with the 4th floor. So 7 years to build the 2nd and the 3rd floor, and the first 2 floors took 7 years. That's a fact. So going on 14 years, they were building the house, the building next door. Because when I moved in, when I moved in, the 2nd floor was not done in 2014. I was the only room on the 2nd floor that was ready to live in. And they concentrated on that room for not a long time, but for a month or two maybe, to get that room finished, because I offered the owner of the hotel 6 months rent up front. He would not take it. He would not take the advance payment. But he did say that he would rent a room to me for X amount of pesos, and he would never raise the rent. And he'd have it done right away. And then from that day on, 6 months, maybe 3 months passed, maybe from June till September, and they had the room done. But I was the only room done on the 2nd floor. The rest of them, I was the only room done with a kitchen. They all had half bathrooms, or bathrooms were complete. So I think it took them 6 years from the time they started the foundations to get up to the 2nd floor, 6.5 years. And then from when Daisy moved in 2016 until 6 months ago. Yeah, Daisy moved in April of 2016, and they pretty much finished the upstairs it's not finished yet, but the 4th floor. It's 98% finished, so they're still working up there every day. But they're working on outside stuff. The rooms are done. In other words, the rooms could be done with nothing more than a bathroom in the rooms. Then when they want to add a kitchen, then it could take a few more weeks or a month to put a kitchen in or whatever. But so about 6 months ago, they had kitchens and bathrooms in all the rooms upstairs. So that took from 2016, April, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, April, till 5 years to build the last 2 floors. 5 years. It's a little bigger than mine. It's like 6 feet deeper. The width of the building. My balcony is going to come. The outside of my balcony will come to where the inside that wall. See the vertical wall there? The inside, my balcony will come to like a foot back from that vertical wall. So my hotel is 6 feet less narrow. However, it's also it's also like 36 feet less in length. So this has like one and a half more of my rooms, but mine is going to go up 9 feet higher than this, so that that hotel doesn't block the view from my fourth floor. So that's going to be. So it took them from 2009 till 6 months ago, 11 years to build a building. 11 years, about 11 years, and they're not done. There's a lot of stuff to do that you don't see, like they had one water tank, but it wasn't big enough, so they had to add two more water tanks. So that's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money too. It's another 100,000 pesos. But it could work with one water tank, but it's better with three. So now they putting in the third water tank and all that other stuff. But like for instance, the hotel next door, if you wanted to say, is it finished? It's finished to live in, but there's no generator. There's no generator in any of these hotels anyway, the smaller hotels. But there's 15 rooms in that hotel, and when we have a power outage, it's a blackout. So for me personally, for my personal use, I'll have a small generator. But generators are way expensive. You know, that's like for a generator that could barely run a 220 air conditioner, you're going to spend 80,000, almost $2,000 to put a generating system in with the auto on switch and auto off switch and all the controls and everything like that, and the fuel cell could cost 100,000 US dollars to build a proper generator room with all the switching and the wires and stuff like that. In America, it's $100,000. How many rooms? I could either make 12 small rooms or the second floor, one big room if someone wants to buy it, and with two bathrooms and a kitchen, and then have 3 rooms per floor, three 12-foot, little bigger than 12-foot rooms. And the rooms are not going to be big, but those rooms next door are not big either. They're only 14 feet wide. So, but a standard room in a small hotel in Panglao, you go to Alona Beach, a standard room is 12 feet wide, 11 feet wide, 10 feet wide. You know, if you want an inexpensive hotel along the road, you're going to go into a room that's about 10 feet wide and 14 feet deep, and there's a bathroom and a vanity and a bed and everything in a room that's 10 by 14. Because it's just the way it is here. You know, it's not America. We don't have rooms here like America. Bigger hotels do, but most of the smaller hotels rooms are 11 feet, 12 feet wide, and 16 feet deep. That's a room with a bathroom and a bed and a small kitchenette. That's standard, 12 by 16. That's about the size of the rooms that I'll have, about 12 by 16, and there'll be 3 per floor, except the 4th floor that I will live on will have no walls at all. It won't have walls. Half of it won't have windows in the front. The breeze coming off the ocean will be the breeze coming into that half of the building. I won't have any walls. Safety first, yeah. Well, you got to have. You can walk off these buildings really easy. You can walk off any roof really easy. So, yeah, I try to do a little safety first. So, thank you. Those rooms are a little bigger. They're 14 feet by 24 feet deep. And could I make my rooms that big? No, because I have to have parking. There's a certain amount of square footage that you have to have for parking. And it's based on how many rooms they're going to be. So the less rooms, if you have like, if I have 12 rooms, I only need parking, a certain amount of square feet of parking, which is what will give me. So the fourth floor, if it has no walls, I don't need parking for the fourth floor. Plus, the fourth floor is going to be my personal space. So I don't need rooms. I need a kitchen and a bathroom. You can see I live pretty simple here now in my house. I'm just going to have a kitchen and a bathroom, and the rest of it will be a tool room. No, a lift is another $70,000. $70,000 for a 4 foot by 5 foot lift. That's what they want, with a legal safety lift with locking mechanisms and stuff. To go up 4 floors at $70,000. So people will exercise, baby. You don't want to exercise, your problem. If you can't walk up 4 floors, I don't care how old you are. Even if you're 75 years old, walking up the stairs is a good thing, not a bad thing. So, no lift. I'm going to go back and finish my piping. Uh, I got to get. I got to get Vask Tech. Again, he stops by. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go finish putting up the 20-foot rail and tie it off to behind me. I got to take this light pole down, and then I had to take the cameras down from the poles in the back and the lights. When they cut all the trees down, everything, I had to take all the wires and everything down. I got to get that stuff back up this week. Not that I really need it, but it's nice to have outside lights in the back so that when I'm working in the big yard, I can have control over where I want lighting. So now I got the boom up on top of the cargo container over there, and the chains are on there. The chains are on the corners, and then I'm all ready with that. I just got to take 1,500 pounds of stuff out of the back of that container, and that boom will pick the container up, and I have the wood ready to put underneath the container to level it out. So I'm going to put the camera back down. It stopped raining. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I'm going to get that last railing up. So enjoy the show. That light is ready. I left my damn knife downstairs. I'm not happy about that. I actually need it. Okay. I actually need my knife right now. I should just go down and get it. Well, let me put that last pipe in. Yeah. I gotta go down to get the knife. Okay, I'm gonna switch where the camera is, and then I'm going downstairs to get my one of my knives. Found my shirt. I was looking for my shirt. All right, so I gotta take that whole corner out with the light assembly on there. I need to go downstairs. I don't actually need to go downstairs now. I got something that'll rip that apart. All right, I want to just tell you there is a problem over there. The problem is the pole that you see vertical, the wood pole, the white one, that's holding up. Uh, it's holding up an electrical wire that goes to a few properties over, and it's broke. So it's going to fall down and look like it's going to come smashing down, and maybe even come smashing down. So I want to be on that side of it when that happens, and it's going to happen. Make no mistake about it. That pole, hello, that pole is ready to break. Don't make any mistake about that. There's basically now that I took all that stuff apart, there's nothing holding up the pole. Nothing at all. Just a little piece of straw. right, here comes that pipe. Here comes that wood with the wire on it. Coming down soon. It's on its way down now. All right, here it comes. All right, what's holding that up? Okay, that's okay like that. That's okay like that. This one is okay like that. This one is okay like this. Now, I gotta have to somehow pull this, make this lever. And I got really nothing to pull it against. I might have to go downstairs and tie it off to the something downstairs. Maybe. Maybe not. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, I need to get the rest of this wood down out of here. That should free it up so I could bring it back. That should free it up now. Oh, well, not quite yet, but we're getting close. Closer. Closer to freeing it up. Now, if you notice, that wire that came down when I took the wood down, the wire dropped down 7 or 8 feet. Because nobody pulls their wires tight. There's nothing to pull them tight to sometimes. So I had to make a stanchion to hold the wire up. I didn't have to. but I had to if I wanted to bring the machine in and out of the shop. Huh, 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 huh. Try doing that with a pair of pliers. I just want to use this as an example, okay? When I say to you people, in general, and in fact, that I can do the work of 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 Filipinos, I don't say it in jest or as a joke. See, like, if there was 2 Filipino men working with a pair of pliers, how would they get that outside bar really tight with a pair of pliers? They wouldn't. It would take a long time. One guy would have to hold the other guy up. Meanwhile, with that gun, you just put the gun on it and pull the trigger and it tightens it up. Now, it's not tight enough yet because I didn't secure it 100%. But that's not the point. The point is that when I say I could do the work of 2 or 3 men, it's like if they would still be back on behind me putting like the 2nd or 3rd clamp on. Well, they probably have it done by now, but they'd be breaking their butt to get it done. And that just took a minute and a half. It might take them a half an hour. And I'm not exaggerating. A half an hour would be, for 2 men with a pair of pliers, would be a reasonable period of time, because you got to remember a couple of things. These clamps are not the clamps that the people use next door. They're so rusty that you could only get a 1/4 of an or an 1/8 of a turn with the clamps. Every single is a rust. Every clamp, every bolt is rusty. These are not rusty, but they got paint on them, so they're still hard to turn. You can't turn them by hand so easy. But they literally did it with a pair of pliers. Until like the last few months, they had a box wrench, but they never knew where the wrench was. Whoever put the wrench down at the end of the day, they might spend 2 hours looking for the wrench the next day. Because the wrench was rusty, the pipes were rusty, the buckets that the clamps were in were full of rusty clamps, and you couldn't see the wrench. It was like a camouflage wrench. Anyway, I don't kid around about being able to do 2 or 3 times the work. And it's because of the tools. That's why they make power tools. They make power tools to make things quicker. So I got one more pipe to do. I actually ran out of clamps. I got like two extra clamps, but they're not they're not they don't spin. They're set at 90 degrees. So I have enough clamps to do exactly what I want, and then two extra clamps left over. And then I'm gonna get this wood up off the bracketing. Okay, so I probably won't. I'll only get one light back up for tonight. I have lights in the container. I have industrial outside lights, but these bulbs work fine for the years that they've been here. Okay, so I gotta go back to work. I gotta remember to tighten up that outside clamp too. I'm looking at the droopiness of the wires. Actually, the wires are not drooping 5 or 6 feet or 7 feet. Actually, the wires are drooping 10 feet. That's a lot. That's a lot. Which goes back to the Filipino labor for the electrician. He didn't have a he didn't have a pipe strong enough to put the high tension wires up, and he didn't put a guy wire to the pipe that he did put down, so he couldn't put the tension on it anyway. That's the Filipino way. I'm going to take a little break and then read the comments, and then no comments. Okay. So I got one light up today. One bulb actually burnt out about a week ago, and the only way to get to it is to take the post down, which is one of the reasons why I put the pipes up today, because without taking the wooden posts down, I can't reach the bulb. You can't put a ladder up to the top of that vertical piece of wood. The wood is just all not strong enough to do that. So I actually needed to take the post down to change the light bulb. The next time I do it, I'll be doing it with a piece of pipe. So it'll just be 2 nuts. Take the pipe down, change the bulb, and then put the pipe back up. But right now I'm actually out of clamps. I have 1 clamp left, so I won't be posting the second light up there. And maybe tomorrow, which should be Wednesday, maybe tomorrow I'll get the backlighting in. I don't know. I have to get 2 sheets of plywood to finish the shelves in the cargo container. And I also have a 3x10 over there on the top of the house that serves no purpose on top of the house. That's going to go under the cargo container to lift it up to make it level. So I'm just going to use 2 10-foot 3x10s. Pick up the cargo container, have one of my friends, that maybe my landlord, slide the next board on top of it. So I got to get that piece of wood out of there. I could do that today. It's got to get down, and it's got to get cut. I might as well do that. I think I'll get that 3x10 out of there. And then I think maybe that'll be the end of the day, because it'll take 35 minutes to get that board out from underneath the pipes and the other bracketing I have over there. So I'll just turn the camera around and clear it out so you can see. But my main concern today was to get this pipe up so that you just can't walk off the cargo container. You can walk off these things pretty easily. You can walk off, because if you're not paying attention, if it's hot and if you're tired, you can walk off a roof pretty easy. I don't really need to do that. So for the $20 it costs for the pipe and the clamps, it's well worth it. I think the pipes are about $12 each, and the clamps are now close to $2 each. They went up from 36 pesos 3 years ago to 82 pesos. I won't be paying that much for them. I'll be buying them in bulk from a major corporation and having them shipped in for about $1 per clamp, 50 pesos a clamp. But in the stores, they went from 36 to 82 pesos in 3 years. That's a lot. It's a big difference. I got you three. Three. One, only twice a year. I got you three from Alona Beach. Specials. Specials, baby. Huh. Ah! 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 Huh. Well, we got it off the roof. Now, I'll flip it towards the end of the cargo container, the outside edge. Okay. And then, I might as well get the rest of the window trim and door trim up on the roof as well. Get that done. Okay. Uh, all right, it's raining pretty hard, so I'm done. I don't really want to be up there while it's raining. Okay, so it's starting to really rain hard. Really hard. Big drops. I'm done. Plus, I'm tired from yesterday. I put in much more than a 10-hour day yesterday altogether. I'm tired, so I'm going to quit for now. So thanks for watching. And it's December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. But it ain't no big deal here in the Philippines. There's no holiday or celebration or anything like that. And no mention of it in the paper. None of the people that I'm subscribed to mentioned it. Well, it's not Pearl Harbor Day in America, so maybe that's why. But the Philippines, there's not much on American holidays. And we in America are not much on Philippine holidays. So, it's a wash at that point. So I got one of the big board over there, the one that's over there. There's a bug. It looks like a giant, a really big bee. It's like 1 3/8 inches long, and it's about that fat. That bad boy. It has a mouth on it that chews wood. It can put a hole in a piece of hardwood, like dried coconut lumber, or like a coconut tree that's hard or dry. It can drill a hole into a coconut tree 1/2 inch in diameter and 3 or 4 inches into the tree in not a long time, half an hour, 45 minutes. Depends on how hard the wood is. Well, it got into that piece of wood. One of them got into that piece of wood and actually chewed it in half. So there's still 5 feet of it that's good on both ends, but the middle, That's why it broke. The middle has got one of those boring bugs went in, and another one went next to it, and another one. Okay, so when the compressor kicks on, sometimes the camera, I have no idea why it does that, but there's something that has to do with the way the motor phases. The motor will shut the live stream down for. Sometimes it comes back on, and sometimes it doesn't. Today it came back on. Guapo! He's not around. Okay, I'm gonna sit down, say goodbye. It's starting to rain pretty hard, and I still have about a half hour to put stuff away down here. So I'll say goodnight, and thanks for watching. Now tomorrow my plan, well, I could go by the plywood I need for the shelves for the cargo can 1. Come back and put the lights up on cargo can 2 shelves. Come back and put the lights on cargo can 1. And prepare for Friday. If I had the shelving, I could just get up early and empty cargo can 1, take 1,500 pounds out of it, and then get ready to jack it up and put the spacers underneath it. But I need the plywood first, so that's a definite. And I also need more pipe clamps. I really should order a couple of hundred pipe clamps. I'm going to need them. I didn't really want to order anything before Christmas. I didn't want to be tied down. And I want to start my double buffet Fridays and Sundays. I don't think I'm going to make a buffet on Friday. I'm going to have to make it Saturday or Sunday. Well, I could make it Saturday and Sunday if I really want to double up on the buffet and the weight loss, because definitely the prawns help me lose weight. I don't know what else to attribute it to. I mean, since last week, a pair of pants that I had fits. I mean, they don't fall off when I wear them, but they're loose now. And the only thing I can think of is the prawns making me lose the weight from inside. When they go through the system, they take some fat with it. You know, the legs and stuff like that, and the head. Maybe it just grabs a chunk of fat from inside. I don't know. I'm not real sure about that. It's anybody's guess. So that's it for today. I got to lock everything up. It's starting to rain, and we got a big cloud over there. Bye-bye for now. Have a nice day. Thanks for stopping by. From Michael Fazio in the Philippines, baby. That's right. I'm Bing Permy, which means take care always.